Hi, everybody. It's December. Can you believe it? 2022 is already almost gone. It went like the fastest year ever. Um, One thing I forgot from last time talking about Kmart that there was a robbery, armored car robbery when I was working there. And the guys, came every day to pick up the deposit. So, we were always friendly with them and they were shot. I think one of them was killed. I'm not sure though. My memory says one was killed and the other was shot twice. I'm not sure, but that was horrible. And the other thing I'm going to get into is very sad. It's going to be hard for me to tell it, but it needs to be told. And after I finish that story, if I have time, I'll make it. I'm going to leave on a lighter tone. It'll be more fun after I get over my sad story. So when I was 19, I forgot to mention this earlier, I started dating Bob, and we were only dating like 2 months, and I got pregnant. I told you that I was pretty loose back in those days. From the time I was 17, 18, 19, I was pretty loose. So I was doing the rhythm method, right? That was my only birth control. And I was always perfect every 28 days, so that should have worked well for me. But I don't know if I was careless this time or I was a little off with my ovulation, but got pregnant, went to doctor and found out, and I went to doctor as soon as I was just a couple days late. My mom had told me one day I would remember being in the kitchen and she picked up the big kitchen knife and she held that knife and said, pointing it at me, and said, if you ever get pregnant, and she said like this, I kill you, like I kill you, I kill the baby, me, baby. She said, I'll kill you and the baby. And then she said, then I'll kill myself. Well, my mom was pretty crazy. I told you some of the things she did. She was pretty crazy. And I actually believed her. I really honestly believed she would do that. And the Japanese harikari thing, they were all about pride. And if they lose face, they were committing suicide. They did that back then. They did it in World War II. It was like part of the Japanese culture. They might still be doing it today. I don't know, but I really and truly believed her. So when I got pregnant, Bob said he would marry me, and I couldn't even wrap that around my head. I was not ready to get married. I had no visions, no fantasies of the white bridal gown, of getting married. I had one friend that got married already, maybe two, but one that I was close to, D, and she got married right out of high school. And she had a nice house, a nice like 3-bedroom ranch house with her husband was a little bit older. He was a Vietnam vet. And, I would go over there and visit and all, but it just seems so odd. It seems so weird to me that my friend was married. Just seems so strange, and I just couldn't fit myself into that picture at all. I think my other friend might have got married. Excuse me, might have got married by then, but I wasn't that close to her, and that's all. Oh, maybe the motorcycle guy. He got married around that time too. But anyway, I couldn't imagine myself being married. I was not in love with Bob, and the whole thought I mean, the thought of getting pregnant and not getting married, and my mother killing all of us, you know, it was just too much. I didn't even want to think about it. It was just something that I couldn't handle. At that time, I was immature, was not ready for it. I had no support. I had no adult say, to talk to me about it, to encourage me, to say, I will help you through this. It'll be okay. Everything's going to work out. That's what young pregnant girls need. They need an adult to stick beside them and be there for them through the pregnancy and help them take care of their baby in the beginning and all of that stuff. And I didn't have anybody like that. And in my mind, because of my when I was little, I went to Sunday school and learned morals and ethics, and things like that. And I knew it was wrong to have an abortion, but I did not think of it really as a baby in my mind. I was thinking it, it's just the beginning of a baby. I wasn't really thinking of it as a life. I wasn't thinking of it as my child. I was just thinking of it as this little blob growing inside of me. And in New York City, that was the only place, New York State was the only state in the whole country where abortions were legal at that time. This would have been 1972, I believe. And maybe 72 or 73. And I had a few girlfriends that had already had abortions. And so I knew where to go and who to call to make the appointment and all that. Knew how much it was going to cost. And I told Bob that I didn't want to get married. And that's what I wanted to do. So he was okay with it, I guess. I mean, he went along with it. And if that bothered him, he didn't really tell me. He didn't try to talk me out of it. He did say he would marry me, but I don't think he was really that happy about that either, because we were only together for 2 months, So made the appointment, and I went with, and Bob brought his friend, Eddie. I knew him also, but not that well, but I guess Bob wanted some company in the waiting room, and I guess Eddie he told me that he wanted to come in case he was ever in that predicament, so he would know what to do, I didn't really like the idea that Eddie was coming, but it turned out that it was fine. He was cool. He was very nice and, considerate and understanding. It was all about me that day. It wasn't like him and Bob were hanging out for that purpose. It was all about me. They were very attentive. And so drove up to New York, and in the waiting room there was maybe 10 or 12 women in there, young women, mostly. And we talked in the waiting room, and they came from all over the country because it was the only state that allowed abortion. And they were there from all over the country. And the one that I remember the most is the one that looked like she was about 11 years old. I would guess she was 11. She was not developed yet at all. She just looked like a little girl, skinny little girl. And she was there with her mother. And even I was only 19. She was, my heart went out to her. I was just like, oh my God, she's so young. I couldn't imagine her even having sex. But, and I remember thinking, that she had such a nice mother to be with her. At least she wasn't doing this by herself somehow. How could she? Anyway, they did interview me first, and to make sure that I was solid with my decision. And they gave me a form to fill out afterwards for feedback. And I remember I did fill that out and send it in. So when it was my turn, and Bob and Eddie stayed in the waiting room, and they use a vacuum They put some kind of vacuum hose up there and suck it out. And it hurt like hell. They did not give me any anesthesia at all. None. It hurt. It was like the worst pain. And I just screamed bloody murder, and it was over quick. I don't know how long it lasted. Maybe a couple minutes, maybe 1 minute. I don't know, but it just hurt so bad. And Bob and Eddie, when I came out, I was fine afterwards. You're just bleeding, but there's no pain afterwards or anything. Because I was only like 8 weeks. You know, I went immediately as soon as I found out, made arrangements, and I was there. I was like 8 weeks pregnant. And Bob and Eddie, when I came out, oh my God, they were like, they were like white, like they were so worried about me because they heard me screaming. They knew, when I went in, and they heard me screaming, and they were just, so glad to see me walk out. And I remember, they were real sweet and kind, both of them. And I laid in the back seat of the car. They got me something to eat, and I just laid in the back seat the whole ride home. And it was over. And you know what? I was just, all I could feel was relief. I had blocked out any kind of thoughts that I was doing a terrible thing. I just didn't want my mother to kill me or her and whatever. I didn't even think of it as a baby. I was just thinking of it as a blob gonna be a baby, like a big blood clot kind of. That's how I pictured it. And didn't want to think about a baby, boy, girl, what does God think about this? I didn't think about that. I just knew, from my church background that I had when I was smaller, up until I quit going to church when I was 12, I felt like it was sin, it was wrong, but I also believed that God forgave everything that we did if we asked him to. And I just clung to that and, prayed that way for God to understand and forgive me. But like I say, I didn't even think of it, as becoming my baby and my son or daughter. I didn't even go there in my head. I was desperate because I felt like I couldn't handle it by myself. I didn't think I would have any support from my mom or dad or anybody. I couldn't imagine taking care of the baby by myself, and I didn't want to get married. That was scary. I didn't know him good enough to get married. I wasn't in love. So I remember filling out that form and mailing it in, and I just put on how did you feel afterwards, it said, and I said relieved. One word, relieved. And I'll tell you the honest truth, that's all I felt for a long time. I was just glad that I didn't, that I was able to do that. And I pretty much put it out of my head, and I really came to grips with it maybe about 20 years ago, that I really, really repented and felt guilty about it, because I didn't want to feel guilty about it before that. And my opinion on abortion today is, I believe that it is sin, but I also believe in a woman's choice, because I know that any woman, okay, I can't say any woman, because I have heard that there are women that just do it because they have already had 3 kids and they don't want another one, or they're some reason like that, because of money reasons, or they want to break up with their husband, whatever, convenience. I believe it's absolutely totally wrong for convenience, and I do believe that things work out. God will work things out, and that children are a blessing. And I believe that every pregnant woman that wants to have a baby should have counseling. You know, Planned Parenthood does do some counseling and some adoption counseling, but I think they should do a lot more of that. And churches should do a lot more of that. And I believe it's sin, but I also believe that most women who will get an abortion are very desperate, really desperate, and might not be good mothers, so I believe that the law should accommodate, I'm pro-choice. I'm against abortion, but I'm pro-choice. I believe it's a woman's right between them and their family and their doctor to decide, but I do believe that children are a blessing and we should trust God. I had a friend that I used to work with who got pregnant, and she was like in her mid-30s, never had a baby before. She was happy to be pregnant. And excuse me. She was told, like, after she was maybe 4 months or something, she was starting to show a little bit, and whatever testing they do on you, they told her, they recommended abortion for her. They told her that the baby was not going to be normal, that it was something with the chromosomes, had an extra chromosome or something or other, and that the baby was not going to be normal, and they highly recommended abortion. And she refused. First pregnancy, she was like 35, and she was at a good job, she could do it herself and all, and she refused. I'm so sorry, but her baby came out perfectly beautiful, normal, nothing wrong. Just saying. And I know that there are so many people out there with Down syndrome and babies that had different problems that, they still are full of love, and, they're still part of the family and everything. So now I think back, if I would have married Bob then, I ended up marrying him 6 years later. But if I would have married him then and had a baby right away, somehow I always felt like it was going to be a girl. Didn't want to think about it, but I always felt like it was going to be a girl. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, my life would have been so different. So I didn't want to cut it off right now, but I guess I'm going to because I'm coughing. Sorry. Okay, more next time.